Hello everyone, and welcome to the first installment of How to Photoshop. I'm going to be trying to keep these videos very short and to the point so that I'm not droning on for you guys too much. So we'll dive in straight away, shall we? Now, the first thing I want to mention is that if you've ever used Photoshop before, I would advise against you watching this video. I'm going to be covering the very basics here, things like what these tools do on the left hand side here, why we use layers, and things like shortcuts, to progress your work quicker, things that will accommodate for the very beginner of Photoshop. So with that being said, we'll continue. Now the first thing you'll notice here is your file edit toolbar at the top. This is a very standard thing to see on programs. If we drop this file down here, you'll see we've got things like new and open, the things you'd expect to see really. But on the right hand side here, we have the shortcuts that are assigned to that particular action. So if you go ahead and create the new document, you can either do this by clicking new itself, or you can use the shortcut here. I would advise you on using the shortcut because once you get used to them, you'll start finding uses for them all around and things will go much quicker for you. So if we click new here, and this screen pops up. So here we can customize our document straight away. We can alter its name, size, colour mode, and how it appears as soon as it opens, i.e. what background does it have when it soon opens. Is it white? Is it custom? So the background colour is shown here. Is it the custom colour? Or is it a transparent background? I'm just going to leave that on white. And I'll also rename this Photoshop the Basics. I'm going to keep 1000 by 1000 just because I can. Really, your document size for this doesn't really matter. But I'm going to go ahead and click OK. So here we have our first canvas. All I'm going to be really using this canvas for is just showing you what you can do with these tools. So I'm not going to be really making anything snazzy out of it. So one of the things you might notice is on the left hand side here, we've got some of the tools have like a black triangle next to them. If we hit Control and hold it down as we hit the tool, you'll see that subsidiary tools come off it. Each one of these tools is associated to its parent tool. So for instance, the rectangular marquee tool here, we're then given an elliptical marquee tool. We're also given single row marquee tools and single column marquee tools. Obviously the marquee tools are just there for selection purposes really, so if we just make a selection like so on the canvas, we can then do pretty much what we like within that field. So then if I was to click the paint bucket tool and just fill it, just click in there like that and it fills in the area that I've selected. And alternatively, if I just undo that by clicking on a Mac, it's Command and Z to undo, but your standard undo on the Windows will work just fine. If I were to click the elliptical marquee tool, we get a circle. Now if you hold down Shift when you do the marquee tool like so, you'll get a perfect circle every time, and obviously you can fill that as you like. The next tool we have here is the polygon lasso tool. This is really just used for creating more complex shapes, things like stars and off polygons and stuff like that. But alternatively, you can use it to highlight more complex shapes, things like tracing around a person, or a particular part of the person, like his arm or his eyes, or anything like that. And the Magic Wand tool here, which is this one, basically this just highlights a particular colour in the document. So if I were to click on this white in the document here, it would highlight everything that is white. And then that would then fill the rest in black. If I were to choose black, or if I were to choose white, it would fill it in white. Alternatively, if I clicked the black, then it would highlight that white, for instance. Sorry, hang on, I clicked off that. There we go. And then that would go white, and again black. So the next tool here, we've got the crop tool. This is pretty self-explanatory. This will just crop your image down to whatever particular size that you would like. Yeah, pretty self-explanatory. Now the eyedropper tool here, this will select a particular colour within your document, which is really actually useful. So if I were to change the document to red, like that, so if I didn't know what that red colour was, and I couldn't find it, and I wanted to use the same colour to highlight the white around it, I could then use this eyedropper tool, hover over the red, and click, and that will bring this colour up for me in my foreground. So then I could just select the paint bucket and then fill it all in, like so. And that's really all I have to say about the eyedropper. So next thing we have is the brushes. Now the brushes are used primarily just to draw either basic shapes or complex shapes. You can get brush sets out of websites like DeviantArt, which are free to use. You can download them, install them onto your Photoshop, which I will be showing you how to do in a later tutorial. But really all this brush does is this is a soft brush, and it will draw a white line with a soft edge. Or alternatively, you can get the hard brush, which obviously has the hard edge. Now, we have a few more complex shapes, but they really only give a similar outcome, but maybe a little bit different. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to undo. If you ever get too far, because you can only ever undo once on Photoshop for whatever reason. So if you click open your history bar here, you can just click back, like so. Your more complex shapes that you get are things like, if I go on replace brushes and find my floral brush set here and load them up, we'll get brushes that are slightly more complex. And if I lay them in like so, obviously you can see what you could do with the brush set. You can get some good outcomes with brushes. The next tool, this is the clone stamp tool. Now the clone stamp tool, what this does is it takes an area. So if I were to just put my circle back in here, if I were to take this area, I hold my Alt key, I can select an area to clone. So I select the white, and then if you notice my white dot there, then depending on what brush you choose, so if I choose this, and you'll see you're getting a relatively elliptical area around the clone. The last time I used this was to actually erase the number of a registration plate on a car and replace it with my own font, my own text. Nothing fancy. I mean, you could use this tool to, if you're selling a car, you could use it to rub out the registration if you don't want people to know what your registration number is. So if I go ahead and paint the rest of this red again. Now, next is the paint bucket. I won't challenge your intelligence. It erases the eraser, it rubs out. It's pretty self-explanatory. The paint bucket here, all this does is, as we've been showing throughout the tutorial really, it'll just fill in a blank document with whatever colour you've got in your foreground and your background. If we bring up the other tools in this, we've got the gradient tool. Obviously this will just fill in a gradient. We've got radial, linear, we also have the straight line, along with some other gradients as well. Really, I found radial to be quite useful most of the time. If we fill it in black, you can see a greater effect of the radial tool. Next, sorry if this is too quick for you guys, but I'm really trying to keep within the time limit here. Next we have the blur, sharpen and smudge tools. The blur and sharpen is pretty self-explanatory. It blurs and it sharpens depending on kind of like the size of the brush, etc. You can do it all manually. There is a filter for this, but I find that the blur tool helps you, it gives you greater control and gives you greater field of depth. The smudge tool, if we click on brushes over this right hand side here, you can see right here, this is with standard settings that I put in a while ago, you can see how we would be able to smudge the image around a little bit and create that kind of image. I don't know if you can see that, it's quite soft. If I increase the size just for these purposes, now you can see there the black dot in the middle is now smudging out and getting fader as it reaches out towards its end. Okay, next we have the dodge and the burn tool. Now, the dodge and the burn tool essentially do the same thing, only with contrast. The dodge tool lightens part of the image, like so, and the burn tool will darken the image, like so. So you can see how that can help with lighting in an image. If you've got a problem with an area being too light or too dark, you can change that quite easily with these two tools. The sponge tool will either desaturate or saturate the image. So I've got this set to desaturate right now. I just bump that up to 100%. And it looks like it's getting darker, but it is desaturating the image. And then I'll resaturate it. And you don't want to really do this too much because it can lower the quality of the image quite a bit. But it's good in small doses. And finally, I won't cover the text tool or anything like that. Finally, we have down here, this is your foreground and your background colour. Basically, your foreground colour is your foreground colour. It's the image, the main colour of the image. We can either use this colour picker here to choose what colour we like, blue, pink, etc. Or we can use the hash code down here. And the hash code, or the hex code, if we know the particular code of the colour that we want, we can put that in. So, for example, if we wanted a white, I know, for example, that is F, 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 which is white. So then that will then give us the white again. Or alternatively, if you're just looking for the simple black or white, you can click D on your keyboard and that'll reset colours here to black and white, and then X kind of reverses them to white and black. Although if you just click, say, red and black and click X, it'll just swap the two colours around. So that way you don't have to go clicking this all the time. You can just quite easily use the X button to do that for you. Now you can see here we have things like colours, paths, layers, channels, swatches, styles, etc, etc. But I fear I'm running out of time right now, so I'll cover these in a part 2. So I hope this helps you. And don't worry, more advanced videos are going to come. So thank you for watching. It's been a pleasure.